I think one of the long-standing myths around digital transformation is definitely the fact that it can somehow be harmful or threatening to our current paradigm or business model. That's been around for a very, very long time. It's been something like 70 years since the philosopher Martin Heidegger wrote his essay, which was entitled The Question Concerning Technology. And in that, he highlighted, this is 70 years ago, that what we have to be clear about are our goals and aspirations. And actually, technology and digital transformation as we understand it today can bring us to new worlds, new truths. So the myths that surround it are that it's complicated, it's threatening, it's too expensive, and they can be harmful because if you're transforming in your business sector, you will fall behind because digital transformation and technology are ever more ubiquitous. I think one of the key things is to start with the end in mind. Many businesses have mission statements and everything pinned on their wall, but I would strongly urge in the roles that I've had advising businesses that they are clear on their goals, their values, and the purpose of what they do, the service or product they provide. If you are clear about that, then digital transformation programs can be aligned to those goals. It's not the other way around, because in business today, whatever sector you're in, healthcare and recruitment, other sectors that I spend a lot of time in, there are all sorts of technology and digital solutions that come at you. They are not the ones that you should measure your change by. You should have them as tools to help you realize your goals, provided you are clear about them. I think there are two. First and foremost is having the clarity of your goals and vision. If you've got that, and many businesses don't, they dive straight into an implementation program with a broad idea that it will solve X problem or Y problem. But how does it fit in strategically? If you're not clear about that, that will be a huge challenge throughout the implementation. And secondly, sometimes these decisions are made at the top level, the board level, the CTO, CEO, CFO, and that's fabulous. But if you do not have buy-in from the stakeholders, the people who will actually be implementing and using the systems. I've seen this in healthcare, I've seen it in recruitment, which is undergoing what's called an inflection point, a profound change, where the people on the ground, the middle management and the actual employees, are left a little bit in the dark about the transformation, and therefore don't have an emotional as well as a logical buy-in. That will cause tremendous friction as you seek to roll it out. Well, when we make that decision, I think the flippant response would be, have you ever entered into a friendship or a business relationship or a romantic relationship on fairly shallow grounds? If you have, that's fine, that may be what you wanted. But if you have, you're looking for something a little bit more lasting, you'll know that every choice carries severe consequences. So in romance, it might be very expensive emotionally and financially, but in business, if you do not take this seriously and get expert advice, it can be profoundly costly. I'm aware of one very significant business within the recruitment sector that ended up literally spending millions of pounds because they did not make that decision correctly. What tips would I give? Well, let's start with our own networks. We're today connected digitally with so many people, so many social media platforms. So I would look for clients who, or even competitors, who have actually used an expert, or what would they advise? Any industry that you're in has a supplier guide and trade journals that you can get references from. So that would be where I would start. Get a reference, get people who've already used those experts, and on that basis it should make it much easier to find the right one. I think if I look at a couple of sectors, mainstream business sectors that I'm involved in, and I have been at advisory and board level for decades, I'll start with those and then I'll do an outlier if I may. Within recruitment, people business, technology completely ubiquitous today. There's been many examples now where businesses have taken technology to take the logarithmic processes of recruitment out of the recruiter's hands and provide digital and technical support for that. That hasn't been threatening because the recruiter can then use the value add knowledge that he or she has to deliver value for the business. And I've seen that being implemented very successfully by recruiters in technology, healthcare, and technical staffing. On the flip side, I've also seen recruiters who've decided that rather than getting expertise in, they will create their own digital transformation program. And in a couple of cases, that has led to catastrophic failure for them. Cost, time, resource, brand impairment. So both of those things are the flip side of getting it right first time and being clear. In healthcare, I have seen within social care, looking after the elderly, it's a sector where I've had a family business we've had for 12 years. Technology and digital platforms have been fabulous in helping deal with loneliness amongst elderly, people who live on their own, and digital platforms which allow real-time information and communication. That's worked well. I've known that clinical commissioning groups in London have used digital pathways and platforms to alleviate the pressure on A&E and hospital readmission. And that has been brilliant for the taxpayer and also brilliant, obviously, for the patients. Failure on the healthcare side, I think the obvious one that most people will know is the digitisation and putting patient records in electronic format became a huge project, well trailed in the newspapers. Disastrous failure, and probably it wasn't done in a segmented way, and expectations were so high, it was trying to eat the elephant in one go rather than in chunk by chunk. In a slightly outlying area, I'm involved in a business which provides tools and platforms to help people who are facing a crisis of meaning or spirituality. I've written a book about that, and that seems to be as far away from the digital world as you can imagine. However, since the publication of my book, I've been gratified to receive comments from readers around the world who have said that the book was able to reach them through digital platforms, and in one or two cases has transformed their life when they were in a place of tremendous darkness. And whatever the book sales might be, just getting that type of feedback where a digital facilitation has been allowing me to reach people I would never have otherwise, I think is something to be celebrated. If I could select one of the many projects I've been involved in healthcare and in recruitment, I would look at the recruitment space. One of the businesses I've been involved in provides support services to contractors, freelance workers, and recruitment businesses. And as that sector has transformed and undergone its own profound change, we as a business had to provide a platform and a means of engaging with people who were sometimes transient, who were in and out of different roles, and have a platform that could meet all their needs, as well as minimise risk for the recruitment business, which was fundamentally important. There's an onslaught of legislation here in the UK that affects recruitment businesses, so they simply have to get the payments correct to these workers, and that requires the management of a huge amount of information in real time in order to protect both parties. And that has now become an important basis for businesses that are leading the support services sector, helping recruiters to grow. The most crucial phase is actually, there's two, which is the beginning and the end, the alpha and the omega, if you like. So when we're implementing a digital transformation project, it's critical to have our values aligned, have our clear purpose and vision about what we are doing as a business, and how the digital transformation aligns to that. Have we got all stakeholders, from C-suite down to the people who are actually using the platform that we may be implementing, aligned, clear timelines, expectations, all of that in place? If those things are clear and aligned, we have far greater chance for implementing and not overrunning in terms of time and cost. Secondly is when you give birth to the new project or platform or system. So you will often have to run that in parallel with the existing system that you're perhaps replacing. That will inevitably require people to be adjusted to the new system. Secondly, there are inevitably, given the nature of feedback and feed-forward loops in technology, inevitably going to be properties in the new system or platform which you will not have been able to predict, positive and negative. We have to embrace that, that's part of that process, and be ready to take advantage of the ones which offer added value. I think it's been something like 70 years since one of the founding texts in modern digital computing fields started, and that was Psycho-Cybernetics by Norbert Wiener. And in that, he argued that our reality isn't really fundamentally about matter or energy, it's about the transformation and transmission of information. And he also added that we are not atomistic. we're connected in a larger system and field. So if we take that lesson, which is what gave rise to some of the Silicon Valley explosion, when you're at the implementation phase and the going live phase, embrace the idea that you will now be connected and your system will be now connected to other systems, and there may be profound benefits that you weren't aware of that can help your business grow.